legend in cinema history. He's inspired the works of Quentin Tarantino. He's inspired the modern day action that we get today.
He usually uses gun battles and makes it look like, ballet.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Brothers Geek Out channel. Today, we're going to give you our top five John Woo movies. Before we get into it, guys, if you haven't already, do like, share, and subscribe. And on that note, let's get into it. Our top five John Woo movies. We've been geeking out about John Woo. If you've been following our channel, you know that we're huge fans of Hong Kong cinema. And with the recent news of Shout Studios purchasing a library of Hong Kong cinema, which hopefully will distribute and give that Hong Kong cinema and amazing directors and actors from that side of the world, especially John Woo, the
Mm.
credit that he deserves and the exposure that he deserves in this world, especially some of his old school movies, we decided that we wanted to give our top five John Woo movies. With John Woo, as we mentioned, legend in cinema history. Like if you don't know John Woo, I mean, all you got to know is that he's inspired the works of Quentin Tarantino. He's inspired the modern day action that we get today in John Wick. Going back to The Matrix, to Equilibrium, to John
hmm
Wick. I mean, he's inspired the evolution of that chain of action. He's inspired a storytelling in an action movie. He's inspired giving characteristics and human characteristics to like assassins and killers. Put in a title, and we're going to go through this, but naming titles of a movie where you expect that individual to be a bad guy, but he is the one you're rooting for. Um,
Mm.
he's worked with brilliant actors like Chow Fat, who has bring acting, and no offense to any action stars, but like true acting, an actor to an act to play an action star, taken
Yes.
away from the muscles and the definition and all that sort of stuff. We're talking that, because that's the era of the movies we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course.
what else, Gibbs, about John Woo, man? What are your, thoughts about John Woo,
Nah, listen,
inspiration you
man.
take?
The kind of like stylistic look of what he does, bro. Like, you don't get that in movie. Like, it's weird to say that you don't get his style of. There's a handful of people that have a style of movie making, but when you watch a John Woo film, you know what you're gonna get from a John Woo film. The visuals, and like even with some of the new stuff that he does, his slow mos, his gun kata. I'm gonna call it his gun kata because I think he's the one. Him and a couple of Hong Kong directors are the first ones to do gun kata. I gotta say. Uh, but his stylistic ways of directing, like he really makes the hero shine. He really makes unique things that he does with the heroes. I mean, just an example, and we're going to talk about it, but like he usually uses gun battles and makes it look like ballet. He makes it look amazing. There are scenes where you have silent moments, and it's just people just it could be Chow Yun Fat jumping across the Hong Kong kitchens and shooting at people, but it's in like not even slow motion, just no sound. Uh, and he's great at doing that. And I think he has such an eye for action that he makes it look beautiful. I mean, there's some scenes in Hard Boiled, you're like, oh my God, this is just, it's amazing. He's got space. He likes to have space in his films. I've noticed recently watching his films as well, I've noticed he likes to have a lot of space. And as I get older, I appreciate it. He has this Western feel to some of his movies. Like, you look at movies like Broken Arrow and Hard Target, which is in American movies. There's a slight Western feel to that, and I think he's inspired by directors like Sergio Leone, and you're talking about the old Western movies like A Fistful of Dollars and Good, Bad, and Ugly. So pinnacle part of Hong Kong, but world cinema as well. So I'm glad they picked this up, and maybe we get the chance to see some of these movies on the big screen because I would love to experience some of his movies on the big screen, and I think not just that, the visuals, the acting the action, the soundtracks, bro. All of these movie soundtracks. Like I'm 43 years old, still, listening to a Better Tomorrow soundtrack in my car as I'm driving. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, how does one do that? But that's that appreciation of what we grew up with. Because I think us growing up with the martial arts scene to seeing gun kata and action at this form, and you're like, oh my God, like this is 10 times better than what we see in world cinema. which ended up getting inspired by him, bro. I think he played a big inspiration to Bollywood cinema, world cinema, and US Hollywood cinema as well. So shout out to
Yeah.
John, man. If there's one person I want to meet, it's got to be John Woo, man.
Oh my
It's
God.
got to be
When
John
I
Woo.
was
I
in Hong
would,
Kong, I was hoping I'd bump into someone like him or Chow Yun-fat. I mean, listen, bro, like uh, as you mentioned, not and also video games. There was a game I can't remember what it's called, but it was a Chow Yun-fat game, and just based on Hard Boiled and that
yeah,
style of gun cutter. In Max Payne, the video game, they even mentioned John Woo's name,
yeah,
and stuff like that. You mentioned he loves space. Jackie Chan has and his team and them guys, they have a theory of like use anything as a weapon, so it's
yeah,
bouncing
yeah,
off
yeah,
wall, doing parkour. That's John Woo style, using anything as a base, as a shield, as a slide, as a whatever, to get a position to perform some action. Is absolutely a legend in cinema history, and he's just not just an action director. He's a filmmaking director. He's a creative vision that goes beyond just
mm,
action and shooting and how many bullets die. There's visuals behind it. There's art behind it, which is absolutely fantastic. Um, so yeah, I don't think there's any other words you could say about this guy, man. He's just absolutely a legend in the industry. And like I said, the fact that he's influenced so much people in Hollywood, the movies that you love, it just goes
yeah,
to show that he should get his credit. And I hope with this distribution with the Shout Studios, people do get exposed to his old work. I would say his
yeah.
old
Of
work
course, yeah,
that he
definitely.
does. Yeah.
No,
So
100%, 100%.
well, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do our top five John Woo movies, and number five. And this is something that me and Kim both agreed on. So
Mm-hmm.
we both aligned on our top five. So number five, we're going with Hard Target, starring Van Damme, Arnold Vosloo. This came out in that's that guy's you hurt my feelings. That's the guy that sorry, that this came out
Anuksa
Anok
Namun, yeah,
Salamon. This came
yeah.
out in 1993. Now, I believe this is one of John Woo's or is John Woo's first Western Hollywood movie. I believe so. And I remember Van Damme talking about he helped John Woo kind of come into to Hollywood and Western
Mm.
cinema and whatnot. But this movie, as you mentioned, has a great Western feel about it. I mean, the way he
Mm-hmm.
done the action, he not only did he weaponize the guns that John Woo's a master of, he weaponized Van Damme's natural abilities, which is his legs, or his natural flamboyant abilities that Van Damme's good at, which is his legs, his kicks. And you spoke about it where there's certain scenes where Van Damme, like Van Damme, you gotta talk about the scenes where you talk about where it's like a Western movie, but instead of a gun, he's got it's his
It's
leg
his
that's
leg.
that's
Yeah,
about
it's
to
his
be the
leg. Like
weapon.
the way he
Yeah,
moves his jacket. Like there's scenes in there where like they have in their standoff. Like I think this is the first battle, first fight. Sorry, where the lady's gonna get mugged, and then he comes and like he's got this cool, smooth demeanor about him. He comes in with his weird mullet, but he looks cool. He's a
he
handsome
looks
dude, man.
cool. Yeah,
Uh, and he comes in and he has a couple of one-liners, and then the scene it's just a slow motion scene of the jacket moved to the side because he ain't got no weapons on him, or maybe we never know. But because it's the beginning of the film, for somebody who doesn't know, it's like, why would he do that for? Because it is an odd scene, but then you like appreciate, oh, this guy John Woo, man, he's gonna make his legs be like machine guns and a shotgun or
yeah.
something because they do that when they
The
when they cock
pistol,
the shotgun or the pistol
yeah.
they do it really slow motion and then they go in like you see it with the Chow Yun-fat movies and the Tony Long movies where they do that, so they did that with his leg and you notice it throughout the whole rest of the movie, like he's just smooth with his action, man. He's smooth with his kicks, uh and he makes them look like lethal weapons. That's what it was trying to like. Those legs were lethal weapons, and they're faster than a knife coming towards you. They're faster than a bullet at one point. You know what I mean? Uh, Great movie, man. So cheesy at points, but so good. The action is in. Like I still find the action in these movies much better than what we get now, bro. Martial arts wise, gun cutter wise, just even just general action in itself. There's the car chase. There's the car chase scene where he just sidekicks, not sidekicks. He like does not a roundhouse kick, like what would you call it? That's a reverse kick back to the guy's face while he's got the helmet on, and like Man,
Yeah,
that
just
must have
jumping
hurt, you know what I
fly
mean?
kick type thing.
Yeah,
Well,
like
not a fly kick. Well, actually, he does. I think he does a fly kick to one dude in one scene, but there's another one. I think he puts his hand on the car
yeah,
to get elevation, and he throws
and
like a
then
jumping man.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean,
yeah, man,
these sort of scenes are just like I was saying. Like in those times, this is 1993. You're talking about a new evolution of action. No one's seen that before in the Western world, right? If you haven't
yeah,
seen Hong Kong cinema before, you haven't seen this kind of action before. So he brought that to the table like a coolness. Like Van Damme's not taking his top off. We don't get Van Damme's ass in this movie as you used to in the Van Damme movie. No, there was none of that. It wasn't about the muscles. It was about the ability, the action ability, or without the
yeah,
muscles. And the
and
story
acting,
was
and there's
an
some acting in
acting.
there, bro.
Yeah,
There's
it's
some acting.
very because like John Woo was really good at creating like characteristics, and Van Damme's
Yeah,
characteristics, as you said, was a very cool, calm demeanor type of dude, like a badass type of dude, but he was very calm, very sort of humble. Didn't say much words, just
mm.
trying to do the right thing. And it was, it's based on the story was kind of deep as well. It's kind of like Hunger Games and all that shit that you see now,
Yes,
and
exactly. Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like where a bunch of rich people hunt down a bunch of poor people for money and sport. I'm trying to think of other movies like that,
Bro, Battle Royale.
Battle
Uh,
Royale. What's the
there's
one that
so
was in
many, bro.
Amsterdam? I can't remember what it's called. Amsterdam, and the rich people want to get a poor person to kill them. There's all that sort of type of movie. I can't remember what that
Hostage.
was called.
Was it
Hostage,
Hostage?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Hostel, that's it.
Hostel, Hostel. Sorry, yeah,
But
not Hostage. Yeah.
based around rich people, it's crazy, but based around rich people putting up sport for hunting humans. It's freaking diabolical shit. Um, but yeah, this girl played by what's her name? She had nice green eyes as well. Yancy Butler. Do
Yeah.
you remember her? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, her father is one of the veterans. Like, basically, they were targeting homeless people and old veterans and stuff like that to be the ones who's being hunted and whatnot. She went to investigate in it, and Van Damme offers to help because he needed the money to take a ship somewhere. But they end up building a relationship. But he just like through that movie, just he ended up basically hunting them down. You see what I'm trying to say? Like the way the last scene was shot in the forest and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
Um, and there's some cool scenes, like you say, like there's some scenes that make me laugh. I'll never forget the scene when the guy's on the massage table and he's getting a massage, chunky dude or whatnot. And then the guy cuts his ear off. Remember, Naksalamun, you hurt my feelings. Like he cut his ear off. There's certain scenes, like you said, with John Woo and his action. I want to say he doesn't waste a bullet, but when I mean he doesn't waste a bullet that doesn't go in you. Because I'm talking about my guy would just reload. This is what John Woo style was: reload a clip and just shoot two clips into you in a certain way where you're like, damn, this is cool and brutal. But it's just like bam, 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 bam. Two clips straight into one body. Absolutely, there's just like fantastic sort of action. And then he kind of like the bow and arrow in this. Like at one point,
Mm.
he had a bow and arrow and just kind of like made that into a dead. I mean, it's a deadly weapon in itself, but art made it an artistic deadly weapon before the Hawkeyes and all that sort of shit. So just the
Look,
visuals.
good
That
film, man. Good film.
spectacle.
The last scene's amazing. Like the last battle of them getting hunted and all the action. Uh,
One
there is
scene with a
one.
snake, little
Yeah.
cheesy, cheesy but cool scene with a snake. Like when you're a young kid, you're like, oh,
Bro,
that's so cool, but it's so cheesy. Like
like, could you
the girl
imagine
thing,
doing that to a 1 inch punch to the snake's head, bro? I
I know,
was like,
knocking out a
what?
snake, bro. Because like what was great about this movie, like, because John Woo, like, we didn't speak about it with John Woo, like, he loves in his movies double guns, doves or pigeons, and romance, right? And he doesn't the romance in this movie because you could see there was a little something with these two, right? Two good-looking
Yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they didn't end up like getting together and kissing like the usual type of movie
yeah,
and
yeah.
whatnot. There was little scenes, but that scene was one of them where you thought he was gonna go in, but he saw the snake and then he just went tap. It was just such a cool, cheesy scene, but so awesome. And then he weaponized the snake after, as he was
Hmm.
hunting them down, which was just such a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's such a fun, great movie. I think it's one of Van Damme's classics, without a doubt. John Woo
Mm.
classics, but as a Van Damme classic, both of their classics.
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great, and I think I would have loved to see another project with them too. And I feel like they need to team up again because I think not as like a separate project completely. Like Van Damme's still in the game. He's still doing the work. Some of his movies they're not amazing, but he's still doing it. And I feel like John Woo is slowly coming back again. So it's like get a team up together, man. Get a nice
Yeah.
movie made together, man. I think you could do a really great action movie together. So yeah, there you go. That's Hard Target.
I agree. I agree. Um, Number four,
Hmm.
Face Off, 1997, John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. This, I think, was a breakout moment for John Woo in Hollywood. It didn't go as far as we thought it would be, because we'll talk about honorable mentions later. But this was a breakout moment. I believe, if I remember correctly, there's something in my head. He got an award for Best Action. I don't know if it was like an MTV award or
I
something
think it was an MTV award. Yeah.
for Best Action. But this movie was cool as fuck because what a interesting sort of story. What an interesting sort of thing. Like Face Off, literally be in your enemy to
Mm,
be able to stop like a nuclear bomb. That's what ends up coming down to. Like you end up being the guy that you hate, the guy that you um hate most in the world, right?
mm.
Because he ended up killing, well, he killed his kid in the beginning by an accident. But what an interesting concept. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Concept. What an interesting
Oh,
concept.
such a good
And
concept, bro.
giving Nicolas Cage and John Travolta a great two actors because the way they transformed into each other, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great movie, and then the action, as we spoke about, just fantastic. I mean, what's your thoughts on this movie?
I love that movie, bro. That was the first 18 movie I went and saw in cinema as a youth.
Ah, okay,
Coronet
okay.
Cinema, bro. Tampa Lane. They didn't even check my age, bro. That was the first 18 movie I saw in cinema. Uh, and I had to. I was like, I gotta experience. Like, I'm so glad I got to experience that in the cinema because I was in awe. Like, we loved Hong Kong cinema already. I love what John Woo already did, but it was like, oh my God, he's taking it to America now. Like, so what does he do to here? The story's deep, bro. The story's deep, and you've got two of the best actors at the time, bro. John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, in this big, massive action frenzy movie. You know what I mean? There are some awesome scenes in this film, bro. But like both John and Nicolas Cage, they were amazing in this film. So it's not he's like he got actors that did have depth as well, and had actors that could play each other. I'm like, oh my God, this is sick.
I would love to ask those two, is like, did you collaborate on how Castor Troy's, because I believe, like on Castor Troy, how he's gonna act and how what was the main dude? What was the good guy? John Travolta's character's name?
Oh, it's
Well,
gone
he
out of my
played
head
Castor
now.
Troy for the most of it, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
yeah, it's so confusing. And it can be confusing, but I wonder if they collaborated on how do we pull off both of these actors? Because we're playing both of them, so we need to make sure we both sync in the sense of the mind frame and the personality and all that sort of stuff. Bro, fantastic acting, and again, just a great concept and everything. Like literally technology. I don't know technology at that time, but taking your face off and pulling it onto someone else and taking it. I mean, the blood transfusion, butters, man. But just absolutely amazing. And then just the storytelling, the emotional storytelling. I mean, because as you said, the actors had depth. I mean, it started off, these guys, cop, bad guy, cool. But it starts off with a great scene on a roundabout. Is that roundabout? Where
Yeah, yeah,
merry-go-round. And
merry-go-round, yeah.
and yeah, and Castor Troy's character tries to kill the cop, John Travolta's character. I can't remember his
Sean
name now.
Archer is his name.
Sean
Sean
Archer,
Archer.
that's it. Sean
Yeah.
Archer. The bullet goes through, hits his son because he was there with his son. Immediately, this is what I love about it, right? Immediately, you see Castor Troy with a moment of regret, like, what? Ah, fuck! I didn't mean to do that. He's a bad guy. He's a psycho, but you see it in his face where he looked immediately like, I didn't mean to kill his son. Cool. He goes on with his life. What was his name again? The cop,
Sean Archer.
Sean Archer. Sean Archer, it's not just getting the bad guy, it's now turned like not just personal as well, or personal, but like a revenge story almost, right? He doesn't
Hmm.
want this guy alive,
No, no,
and
no.
whatnot. But the fact that he ends up doing the face transition because there's a nuclear bomb set that he needs to infiltrate his brother and get find out where it is, but the fact that he gets stuck he has to look in the mirror at the face that killed his son. Like he gets
Mm.
stuck in that face, and he has to go out throughout the whole movie. Again, Nicolas Cage's vulnerability and the disgust he has when he plays and looks in the mirror and sees that face. I mean, it's brilliant. You know what
So
I'm trying to
good.
say?
So
It's
good.
fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then the action. I mean, come on. You were talking about slow motion, no sound music. I mean, this was one of the first times I've seen like a pure action scene, and there was this lullaby or like a
Yeah, it
Disney
was a
theme.
lullaby. Yeah.
And they put it on the kid's ear so he couldn't hear the gunshots or whatnot. And you got this classical lullaby or whatever it is, Disney tune playing, and you just got this mad action going around in slow motion, people jumping, double guns. Again, artistic gun cutter, man, with
Mm.
visuals and sounds and slow motion and an innocent child in all of this, which it just ultimately this, yeah, no, the action. I mean, I don't want to go off topic. We'll get on that in a bit, but yeah, I mean, your thoughts
No, it
around
was,
action, the story, and stuff.
bro. Again, it sets a standard, a different standard for Hollywood, which ended up inspiring them to go to do the movies they made after. Was like, if these guys are doing gun and action at this level, we can up the ante and keep going forward. So I gotta say, uh, some of the best action, as I said, to this day, still, bro. To this day, still, I can watch that movie and fully enjoy it for what it is because it's rewatchability as well. Plus, there's this classic feel to it. You know what I mean? Classic action feel to it. Like it feels like raw, good on action. Like that's on a set. There are people shooting at each other. That's like live rounds and blanks and the rest of it. Where now a lot of it is CGI. It's on a set, like on a green screen or something like that. Like that's real. All of that stuff, props and all of that. It's like got that tangible feeling to it, to that action.
Mm,
That I can
mm.
actually feel that action as well. It's hard nowadays to feel some of the action because it doesn't have weight to it. So when you watch something like what we watched in the 80s and 90s, it has a heavy feel to it. So it makes it feel like, oh shit, that actually really happened. You know what
I
I
feel
mean?
like John Wick brought that back, that tangible,
Yes.
on
Yes,
pop,
100%.
real sort of thing.
100%.
Because you had certain movies, I can't remember the names, but it had Angela Jolie and when they curve the bullet and shit, and you're like, come
Wanted.
on.
Wanted.
Was it wanted? Yeah. You had
Yeah.
those type of movies and whatnot, which just didn't pull off. I mean, Equilibrium, I think, came out around the same-ish time. No, it came out after,
Yeah.
I believe. And
Yeah.
that was like that was really good. And again, I think that was inspired. Again, you can't say you're not inspired by these movies.
Mm.
But yeah, no, the action was. I mean, I remember the boat scene. I think it won an award for that whole last boat scene and shit. The boat flying in the air, but it's just mad. It's just mad. But the choreographing is just absolutely fantastic. Ultimately, with the storytelling, in a way, he learns. I don't know if he forgives, but he had a scar with the bullet of his child. And by the end of the movie, when he finally gets his revenge, he kills Castor Troy. It was kind of like never forgotten, but he was kind of like, I'm ready to let go because that held him back. That ruined his marriage. Would have, it was ruining his life to get the
Mm.
guy who killed his son, to get this bad guy. And when he let that go, and then he took Castor Troy's son. It again, the message, the story behind that, man. I mean, it's just deep. You're taking in the son, and it's not replacing your son.
Mm.
And he's an innocent kid. You can't help who his father is. For you to give him a better life, the life that your son didn't get because he took it away to give it to his son. It's crazy. It's
That's
beautiful.
it.
It's
Yeah,
just an emotional story.
it's second chances, right?
Second
It's
chances,
second
yeah,
chances, bro.
to innocent
Second
children,
chances in
yeah.
life, like innocent of children. Yeah, so actually, you know what? Thinking about that now, it's actually that's really deep, bro. It is really deep, and like even that, bro. Like, I even take elements of that movie with me when I do that to Nia's face and Alara's face.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
I
yes.
still do it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's such a sweet thing. Like that I adopted that after. So there are things that I think we adopt from the movie world, and like the empathy in doing that, bro. To take on the guy's son that killed your son. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You
The
reminded me about
healing
that.
the healing process, the healing process. You know, it's a healing
Yeah.
process. And for him to say, I can let go of this scar now. I'll always remember my son Mikey, but I can move on and start something new. It's hard, bro, because I think we all have that type of journey in our lives to let go of things and kind of move on to the next thing. And it's hard to let go. It's never easy. And I think that's one thing as well. The movie shows, like, uh, you some things we don't have control of, but when you do have that control, you can let go. And the fact that he got his revenge, I suppose that changes a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, you reminded me of this, and I mean the message of the face. I mean, think about this, bro, man. When you love someone, whoever it is you love, brothers, mother, father, daughter, kid, what do you, yeah, yes, you love their whole body, but what do you remember, man? Face. You know what I'm trying to
Yes.
say? You
Yeah.
remember the face and the fact that he would just touch the face in that sort of manner is kind of like that symbolism of love. I'll never forget your face. I want to feel your face. Now I don't want to just see your face. I want to feel your face with my hands. It's deep. It's
Mm.
you
No,
know, again,
100%, man.
it's a clear example of John Woo not just making an action flick, but making a movie that's absolutely got emotions involved. Number three, and talking about second chances, it's 1986, A Better Tomorrow. This was one of my, I think I would have to say it. I was a kid. I don't know why I'm watching these movies. I feel like this was my one of my entry points of knowing who John Woo and Chow Yun-fat is.
Mm.
Um, and learning about Hong Kong cinema. I believe it's either this one, because this movie, man, A Better Tomorrow, it says it in the title, man. We're just looking for a better tomorrow. I mean, based on what the actors, obviously, Chow Yun-fat, who we got here? We got Leslie Chung, who's a famous
Mm.
singer. Interesting. I found out he was a famous singer when I was in Asia. And again, it's amazing the acting choices that John Woo picks. You got
Yeah.
Ting Long in it. Basically, a gangster that wants a better tomorrow. A gangster that doesn't want to be in the game anymore. Gangster that doesn't want to do it. I mean, look, you got two brothers between who are one a cops and robbers, basically. And the gangster does like he doesn't want his brother. He wants to quit the game so he can give it so he can protect his brother basically, right? His brother can live his life as a cop. His brother didn't know that he was a gangster. You know what I mean? This
Mm.
whole time he lived, his brother didn't know he was a gangster or one of the main gangsters in Hong Kong as he was a cop or anything. But just to try and give that life away and for his brother and his family. And as they say, once you're in, you're never out. I mean, the way they just sucked him back in, basically, or tried to suck him back in using his brother as leverage, using his best friend as leverage. Just
Mm.
again, an amazing storytelling action movie. This every movie that we pick, you can figure John Woo is storytelling and action movie. It's not an action flick. It's a movie. It's a storytelling film. About getting a better tomorrow. What do you think of this movie, man? I feel like it's another introduction to Chat and Fat, this one as well.
This was yeah, exactly another introduction to Chai, in fact. But I think the deeper story to a better tomorrow, bro. I've done this shit for too long. I just want it to be better for us. You know what I mean? Uh, the story of the younger brother having a family, a kid, and he's obsessed with this, trying to take down this gang, not knowing his brother's a big part of it as well. It's insane, bro. It's absolutely insane. Like it's the thing you don't want any family members to go through. You don't want to see your brother going through that. You don't want to see that the elder brother was doing that to try to help you move along as well. You know what I mean? You don't want to hear the fact that like he's had to do bad for me to do good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
He's made his mistakes for me to learn from them mistakes and do something different. Uh, it's fucking deep, man. I need to watch that again. That is a good film, bro.
It is a
And even not
deep
even
film.
that. It's a good film story. The brother's love is a brother's love, right?
Oh
I'll
yeah.
always use that quote. I'll always use
Oh
that
yeah.
quote because that's the pure example of that. I think uh uh a brother's love is a brother's love. Yeah, it's a great film, bro. Great.
That's it.
You know what?
And
That's
then
got more storytelling than the action, even though the action is insanely good, insanely good. And the introduction to Chow Yun-fat as the character coming into it as well. Uh, because some of them left their ways, right? They went on to do normal jobs, and then they got all called back in again. It was like you could say this is John Woo's kind of Avengers story. I gotta say, a bunch of misfits that's gone down a different path, but each had their own reasons. But then went out and did their own things, and come back towards the end to give us one massive action scene ever. It was a good film, bro. I love that movie.
yeah,
Uh, that
I,
one's a touch. That's a touching movie. I gotta
that
say.
is a touching one. And I mean, a story, obviously, story about family and brothers and whatnot. Also, the story of friendship, his tight relationship with, uh, what was his character name? Mark? Was it Mark in John
Yeah,
Chow
Mark.
Yun-fat's
Yeah,
character?
yeah, yeah,
Just that
Mark. Yeah,
friendship, the story of betrayal, the one that he looked after, the guy that the underling that they looked after, little apprentice or whatever, who ended up taking over at the end and then treating Mark like shit because he got
yeah,
power and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff. Being, his character was can't remember his name of his character, man. It was Song Chi Ho. Sung anyway, brother Sung or brother Si Ho, I think they called him.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was like
brother Seaho,
he
yeah.
was like the Godfather. He was like he knew the business in and out. So they wanted him back in because of his expertise of doing it for so long. But he didn't want it. And that's why when he done his time, he was trying to build up his relationship back with his brother because his brother disowned him because he found out that he was a gangster and all that sort of stuff. Seeing what happened to his friend Mark, who's been treated like shit now, literally just being treated like an animal. It's horrible and whatnot, but the action scenes, man, I mean, when Chow Fat, when he gets shot in his leg, and he has that brace on, and the way it's almost like the Terminator, man. He was almost like the Terminator. He was just so freaking raw in that movie. Some of the action scenes in that movie is awesome, and also it's one of the first times I feel like I've seen the good guy. And again, they're not good guys because they're gangsters, but the good characters, the character that you're rooting for, dies at the end. I mean, the way he got shot up, there was like 50 bullet or 100 bullet holes in that jacket of his, right? That reappraises in part two, but reappears in part two. But I mean, the way they killed him, man, it was like brutal. His best
Mm,
friend, like, shot in the head and then just brutally just shot up. It was first time you kind of seeing that the guys you're rooting for don't win at the end. And and they're trying to win to get a better tomorrow, not to be the better gangsters. They're trying to
yeah.
be, the better tomorrows. And an amazing storytelling movie.
No, bro, I think that is a crucial part to it. Is these guys were in it for such a long time that they just wanted to move away from it. And the fact that they got drawn back into it. That's like anything really and truly in life. I think you always get drawn back into things. And it's easy to do that, but you can't let go of the past, can you? And I think that's like a excuse me,
Well,
like a mental thing as well.
it's one of those things where it's like, don't let the past, like, so the past does define who you are, but it doesn't define your future. You know what I mean? So you
Mm,
never forget your past. Your past is what makes you. You go overcome those. You make decisions. You overcome those adversities to try and have a better life. And you're
mm,
always gonna have that beacon of hope. And in this
yeah,
case, it was his brother, being a cop, to get that better life. But that past, when it's dark, man, there's abilities and there's dark forces that drag you back in and drag your family and your friends back in, and it leads to darker
yeah.
place. And the whole thing is about dealing with that trauma or whatever you want to call it to get through to move forward in life, man. I mean, it's true like storytelling of trying to move forward, trying to get out of this lifestyle because I don't want this lifestyle. It's not a good lifestyle to have. Of course, being a gangster, I'm trying to say. I mean, maybe some people like it, but he didn't, and he wanted out, and it's just a beautiful story of his journey of trying to get out, I guess.
No, exactly, exactly. I think it's an important part and it's a process, right? I think the family dynamics, the friends dynamics, the gangsters dynamics, like there's always a silver lining to John Woo's stories, and that's what I've always loved. And it's the internal battle of what sort of decisions do I make to get to where I want to get to. And I swear, bro, we growing up, we just saw them as great action movies. But I kind of really adored the fact that watching them now as an adult, I appreciate it much, much, much more. So I'll always, back in my 20s, yeah, bro, good action film. I love it, love it, love it, love it. But you watch something now and you're like, man, I missed. You actually see what John Woo was trying to push out there. And that's what makes us appreciate it even more because as much as we love the action stuff, it was like, oh my God, this guy put some depth in these stories, bro. Yes, his main forte is, let's get the best action ever seen on like big screen. But let's give him a bit of heart to it as well. So, no, another good film, bro. Honestly, absolutely
Definitely.
love it. Absolutely love it.
And I think comparing it to what we were getting at that time, like, I don't know, Commando, for example, using a great action movie, amazing biceps. It was just a bit like, you kidnap my daughter, I'm gonna come back for you type of movie. Where these, like you said, these stories that were given to us by John Woo was stories, man. Like real depth to
Mm.
characters, real acting necessary with the action. Absolutely amazing. Moving on to number
Uh,
two, Hard Boiled, 1992. I think this movie is the one that revolutionized action. I think this is the one because video games were based on this. We had, so much reference to this movie. I mean, this goes down as cinema, like all-time great, one of the all-time greatest of action movies, in
Yeah.
this movie. I mean, some of the cinematography, some of the action scenes, some of the coolness, of this ing is it just goes down in a cinema action history. Chow
Cinnamon
Yun-fat,
bun, bro.
Cinnamon Bun. Chow Yun-fat, Tony Leung, another legend.
Oh man,
Um, Brilliant movie, man. Hard Boiled, man. What's your thoughts on Hard Boiled?
man, what can I say about hard boiled, bro? Hard boiled, hard boiled is probably one of the top 10 best action movies ever made.
Has to be.
You know, I think I'd have it in my top five, to be honest. Like, top five best action movies ever. And to be honest, I've only got two I can think of right now, which is Mad Max Fury Road and Hard Boiled. And I'm gonna put the first John Wick up in there as well. Because I think first John Wick needs a lot of loving when it comes to action films and keeping you exhilarated. But anyway, listen, bro, Hard Boiled. Oof. Ah, man. Hostage situation in a hospital.
Baby. It's the first time you've seen
Oh,
a man holding a baby killing at people. I mean, I mean, I don't know what to say what the words are. How cool is that? Is that cool? I don't know. It's holding a baby. How cool
that
is
is
that?
very cool, bro. I gotta say, uh, I absolutely adore that movie. The scenery, the space he used, uh, and this
I
is
think
like
this was
based off like the undercover double agent cop as well. You know what I mean?
mm,
So that plays even a bigger part to what was happening. But morals and what do I do and how do we do this? There's a cop killing, undercover cop killing, gangsters and as an assassin, to come into a point thinking, man, I need to come out of this. This is changing me completely. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Uh,
in too deep.
into deep. That's right.
Yeah.
Into deep, bro. Oh my God. So good.
I mean, another movie I would say that is probably, influenced by this, from a sense, from a perspective of like, as you said, getting into deep. When you're just doing your job, basically, you're supposed to be doing your job. You're supposed to infiltrate, but building relationships up with the gangsters and whatnot is that's what happens, right? When you get in too deep. And Tony Leung plays that really, really freaking well. And the fact the way Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung's characters collaborate at the end, I mean, but there's some scenes at the action scene in the end in the hospital where
Yeah.
um I believe it's like one of the first one-shot scenes. I remember watching it. I was like, damn, this is a one-shot scene. And
Yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah.
I believe this is like one of those first one-shot scenes because we started getting loads of them after, and they're
hmm
amazing. Like the durability to do a one-shot scene like that. But I believe this was the same, and just again, like just amazing action, man. I mean, that scene in the warehouse or where the car, what you call it, garage and whatnot, just the action scene between that. Ooh, crazy. Chow Yun-fat against all of them. I mean, bro, it's just creative, man. It's just creative. It goes down, and this is one you're right. There's more action in this one than some of his other, the ones that
Yeah,
we've
yeah, yeah.
mentioned. Because it was this one you could say is an action flick, but there was so much again action and characteristics behind this. Again, John Woo has an ability to humanize some of the bad guys. I remember that Mad Dog guy who had the one eye patch or whatnot. He
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
seemed
yeah.
he talked throughout the whole movie. He was like a brutal killer. And at the end, I remember he turned against the gangster in a sense like, let these hostages go. I'm not a monster. I don't kill
Innocence. Yeah.
hospital inmates and innocents and all this sort of stuff. Like he was able to humanize some of the characteristics of the bad guys, right? And this is what I love about John Woo because you don't know what you're gonna get from your bad guys. And yes, you're gonna get the psycho killer, and they exist in that world, but on that team there are other human beings as well, and he was able to kind of express that as well.
100%. I think you're right. He and his team of writers. Like he must have a great team of writers because he doesn't, as you said, this one's probably got more of the best action scenes than some of his other movies. Uh, but the writing, the characters, the depth, each of them, you know what I mean? Like there's a morale to some of them. There's like, if he's a bad person, then he deserves to die. But why am I killing hospital people, man? Ain't got nothing to do with this madness. You're just crazy, man. So yeah, like people have a turn when they see too much madness. Like you're kind of thinking, current stages of the world right now, bro. You're like, why are these murderers doing what they're doing? But some people, bro, either just on that path, and some people were like, I didn't get into this because of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a lapdog, and I'm gonna go do what I need to do for my boss. But this is insane. I'm not doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Innocence.
very,
It's
very good.
principles.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
Hitman's with
good.
principles and stuff like that. But yeah, a revolutionary action movie. I mean, I would have to pull it up there. A revolutionary action movie. All right, number one, The Killer. The Killer, John Woo's Killer, 1989, I believe it is.
Mm,
Chow Yun-fat. I mean, this goes down as one of my greatest movies of all time. We've done a separate review for this movie, a full in-depth review. Do take a look at that. We'll share it in the channel and whatnot. Well, talking about a killer with principles. Talking about the first time seeing an assassin with a human morale, with principles and morals, and it it's crazy to say that an assassin, but it's literally what Chow Yun-fat was. And then again, first time, you're seeing using a actor to play an emotional action character, absolutely amazing, and some of the coolest scenery and action scenes I've seen, honestly. Because
mm.
Chow Yun-fat is sleek in this movie. In the beginning, bro. In the beginning, when he knocks
In
on
the
that
beginning.
door, it's so cool. And again, the music, the soundtrack is relaxing. Like the main theme, you got the lady, I can't remember her name. What's her name? Got to give her a little shout out. But she's got an amazing voice, amazing soundtrack, which just sounds
Oh,
nice. Sally Yen,
Sally Yen,
which I
yeah.
believe was a singer as well. Um, Absolutely amazing freaking movie, man. I mean, this movie again gets you emotional at the end of the movie because there's so much character building with Chow Yun-fat's character, who is an assassin, but there's so
Yeah.
much humanity to him. It's crazy how he's able to express that in this character.
It's only bad guys and people of power, isn't it? He doesn't want kids, he doesn't want women, innocent women involved. Innocent people, really and truly. He's a killer with morale, bro. But he gets the job done any way possible. But then it's this story about a big setup in the process as well. Because at the end of the day, whoever put this contract out doesn't want any loose ends. So it gets messy. It gets messy. Friends uh, become enemies. Enemies become friends. Like it's crazy, bro. You know the relationship between Mickey and Dumbo, which is in a dub that we grew up with. I think they changed it now due to copyright laws. Or did they still keep it?
I don't know. I mean, I've always seen the other one, Shrimp Head and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something else. So I don't know which one's actually the original one. But as you said, man, friends become enemies, enemies become friends. I mean, in this world that they were in, it was just, it's that kind of world. It's that betrayal world.
Mm,
But that's why you're saying you're dealing with a bunch of characters where that's the world, but you're dealing with a bunch of characters that don't have that principle. They don't have that moral in them, but they're good at what they do. He's an amazing assassin.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
and they even
Uh,
said it. The cop, when him and the cop had the conversation, it's like you're an interesting assassin. It's like you're an interesting cop. I mean, two people on the opposite sides of the spectrum find commonality in their profession and what they do and end up, teaming together to get the main gangsters, the main bad guys and whatnot. But the fact that they end up teaming together is just amazing. And when John Woo, accidentally blinds Sally Yeon's character, again, you just see that empathy that he has for this innocent person that got killed. Like when he took the little girl to the hospital. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. John Woo's the killer. The title of this movie is called The Killer. When you pick up this movie, what are you expecting? A movie about a killer. When you watch this movie, what do you see, man? You see an empathetic human being. You're like, what the
mm,
hell? I mean, again, this is a movie that's so great in that time of year where there was no YouTube, no streaming, none of that stuff. You had video shops. Like us in Tottenham got hold of this video, right? We're talking about again. I always bring this up. In the Bronx, you got Terror Squad talking about Chow Yun-fat, the killer. You got Wu-Tang
Wu-Tang.
Clan watching the movie, watching even the Wu-Tang Clan show. I can't remember what it's called. That just came out. They had a whole episode based on the killer with it was Ghostface Killer and no, not Ghostface Killer and Raekwon. those two
Yeah,
characters.
yeah,
They had a whole episode where they're watching the killer, and they have an episode where they're in the killer. This is that's what I'm trying to say. It's how impactful this movie is, and
yeah.
how great this movie is.
No, 100%, man. It's influential in an era and a time where we don't have what we have now. And for that to come out, like there's a handful of people that enjoyed Hong Kong cinema. Not people will know about this movie. And some of the ones that we just said in this list, guys, if you guys are here and you've never heard of John Woo or you've never seen any of these movies, please, if you appreciate cinema, then go watch these. These are pinnacle to what we get in normal. You got your everyday Hollywood stuff, but this is pinnacle when it comes to cinema. Like this is just art. It's art. I gotta say, like I appreciate it so much more now. And I always did appreciate it, but now I see different depths, different levels. Like that soundtrack, but that's my little 5 minute apiece before I go into work, or 5 minute apiece when I before I enter the house, like just to have that moment. And like it's such a cool scene as well when he's there with the cigarette and it's just sitting and the
I was
tune is
gonna say
playing, and
that.
I'm like, what? So good, so good.
I
Like there's
mean,
some artistic things in this movie that he does very well, and props to the cast, Chow Yun-fat and John Woo on having this movie is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. You know what I mean? That movie
yeah,
is there. Oh, insanely good.
Danny Lee played the cop,
Mm,
who was great as well. I mean, listen,
that's
this is
right.
cheesy to say, but if I smoked, I never smoked, but if I did, I'm telling you, man, I probably would have played that tune and just kind of chilled outside and looked out the window and just smoked and blowed my smoke out. It's such a weird, cheesy thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like the influence that this movie had. Like if I was in my 20s, that's how I probably would have been. I mean, the movie is just fantastic, and just again between the cop and the killer, just like not only they were on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but they were able to the cop was able to visualize how the killer worked and vice versa.
Mm,
It was just brilliant. Now I know they done a remake. We won't talk about it and whatnot. But that's how good the movie was. They thought they could pull off a remake, but it will never be as impactful. If I was to recommend, if someone was to say to me, okay, you've introduced me to John Woo, which one should I watch? The Killer. I would say watch The Killer because I think you're getting a full spectrum of what John Woo is about, and even Chow
hmm
Yun-fat, right? You're getting a full spectrum of what John Woo's going to give to you, and then you can go and explore some of the other movies. But this is the one I would recommend to anyone. If you want to be introduced to John Woo, go watch The Killer.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's a great film, bro. Great film. There's only so much I can say. Just go enjoy it, go indulge in it. It's a great film. Uh, I'm so glad. I'm hoping, bro. If they distribute this well and they show them on the big screen and they have the moment, that's one I'm going to watch, bro. Because I've been to some of the places in Hong Kong as well because of that movie. I didn't even realize. I think you lived on the same road where Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport was running around, bro.
I think he was doing that in Kowloon. It kind of looks similar, but I think he was doing that
Yeah, I
on
was
the
gonna
Kowloon
say
side and whatnot.
it looked like,
But
but
there,
then
there's some
Hong
scenes in
Kong.
this movie where there's a part with the tram, and I think that's Causeway Bay. I believe so. It's around Causeway
Yeah,
Bay and all that stuff. I mean, bro, I lived there, man. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. Like when I moved to Hong Kong, even though it was a foreign land to me, it was almost like yes, we watch kung fu movies and stuff like that. But when I'm talking about the depth of Hong Kong, I got that from
yeah,
John Woo. I got some knowledge from John Woo, and I know it's a gangster world and everything, but just the visuals of Hong Kong. So I
yeah, yeah,
almost went there thinking. I know Hong Kong, you know what I'm saying? Like I know a little bit because of those movies. I mean, John Woo was able to express and put Hong Kong on the map.
Mm,
Um, and again Hong Kong cinema on the map there because I think the majority of the people would know, of course, the Bruce Lee's and the martial art movies, the kung fu flicks, which are also very amazing. But when you're talking about Hong Kong cinema from a different depth, like these people can act, these people have emotions too, they have stories to tell too. This is one of the guys to help express those stories.
no,
John
definitely,
Woo.
definitely. Very good film, bro. Very good film. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Amazing, amazing. All right, well, guys, that was our top five John Woo movies. Just a couple of quick honorable mentions. Um, Bullet in the Head, another great movie, another emotional movie about betrayal, about
hmm
friendship. Just a fantastic movie. There's a Better Tomorrow 2, which is another great movie, great action scenes.
Mm.
Talking about trying to get a better life. Again, in that perspective, was great. What do you have to say? Broken Arrow.
Mm.
John Travolta, another one of his first introductions to the
Christian
Western world.
Slater. Yeah.
Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Great fun movie, man. There's always
Definitely.
one line. There's always one line I always take from that. I feel it's John Woo says like, "Fuck them if they can't take a joke," and he presses the button, the nuclear head button. Like I think it was one line from that always sticks with me. Um,
Yeah.
what other honorable mentions were there? There were two, Bullet Head, Mission Impossible 2.
Oh yeah.
This is when again I think that after Face Off, John Woo's reputation was building a lot in the Western world. Mission Impossible 2, amazing action scenes. Didn't get the props that it deserved, but I think that's an honorable mention. Of any other ones that you want to put out there or you can remember?
Uh, he did a film recently with Joe Kinnaman called Silent Hour.
Silent
Not
Night.
Silent.
Silent Night.
Silent Night, which I really enjoyed. A lot of people didn't really enjoy that. I liked it. I felt like it had a bit of old school what John Woo was all about. Uh, do, do. Hold up, man. Just another honorable mention. Let me just quickly double check.
I mean,
He's
obviously he's
got
got
such a massive. He's got a massive catalog of movies, bro.
yeah.
Uh, so we said MI2, Hard Target, Red Cliff. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Let's see what we got. What we got? Because he's done loads of films, bro. He's
Yeah.
not just done the one thing. Like he did a movie with Dolph Lundgren called Blackjack. Uh,
I didn't even know about that.
once a thief. We've said Bullet in the Once a Thief. That's another good movie. And he did a couple of martial art ones back in the day. It's called Hands of Death and The Last Hurrah for Chivalry. That's another one as well. But yeah, again, massive, massive catalog of movies here, bro. Good on him. I got nothing but love for that guy, and I want to see more. Hopefully, because I know he's coming back slowly. We're starting to see more as well. So definitely, Paycheck with Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Remember? Yeah,
What the hell? Wait, I can't remember that one. Paycheck.
and he did another film called with Nicolas Cage called Wind Talkers. Paycheck was with Uma Thurman and Ben Affleck.
But I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one. That one I can't remember.
2003. That was 2003. It was more about holograms and like futuristic. Uh, yeah, that's pretty good. That was actually right. It wasn't amazing, but it's a good film.
Oh, it's coming back to me now. Okay, okay, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. Okay, I need to go back and watch that one. It's been a while. All right, man. Well, guys, that was our tribute, I would say, to John Woo. Just respect for cinema. I love our love for cinema, but respecting his work that he's done and the influence he's had on us, as well as the movies that we watch to this day. Um,
Exactly.
I hope he watches this. Probably not, but we'll tag him anyway. John Woo, we love you, man. Respect.
Respect,
Um,
respect.
Go on, Kibbs. I guess take us out, man.
Mm. All right, massive, massive thank you for watching, guys. There's about 65% of you that are not subscribed to the channel, but you still watch the content. Come on. Hit subscribe and hit that notification button. Also, follow us on our social media pages. But make sure you check out the community page. We post up when we do our latest videos and what we're up to. I'm going to be posting on there much more often compared to the other social places because I really want to concentrate on bringing the YouTube page up and bringing a community in YouTube as well. So we want to do loads more on here. So guys, make sure you follow us here. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. And as always, thank you. And we'll catch you up soon. One love. Peace.
Yeah, peace.